So, picture this. You've had a long day at work. Maybe you got stuck in traffic, maybe your boss was on your case, and all you want to do is walk through your front door and relax. You turn the key, push the door open, and there it is. A massacre. Feathers are everywhere. It looks like a pillow exploded in your living room. And sitting right in the middle of the carnage is your dog. He's not looking at you. His ears are pinned back, his head is low, and he's giving you those big, sad eyes, that classic whale eye where you can see the whites. And immediately you know he knows he did something wrong. You think he's guilty, he's ashamed. He did this because I left him alone too long, and now he's acting out of spite. It's a story we tell ourselves constantly. We see that guilty look, and we project a human courtroom drama onto our pets. But here is the hard truth that Alexandra Horowitz lays out in Inside of a Dog. That look, it's not a guilt. It's fear.
Horowitz, a cognitive scientist, actually ran a fascinating study on this. She had owners tell their dogs not to eat a treat and then leave the room. Some dogs ate the treat, some didn't. But here's the kicker. She tricked the owners. She told some owners their dog had eaten the treat when they actually hadn't. When those owners came back in and scolded their innocent dogs, guess what happened? The dogs gave that exact same guilty look. The look wasn't a confession of a crime. It was a reaction to the owner's body language. They were just trying to appease the angry human in the room. That moment of realization is the heart of this book. We desperately want to know what is going on inside their heads. We look at them and ask, do you really love me? Or is this just covered love? Do you just love that I can open the pantry? We see them licking our faces and think it's a kiss. But Horowitz reminds us that for their wolf ancestors, licking a pack member's face was a way to ask for regurgitated food. Not exactly the romantic gesture we imagine.
This is where Horowitz introduces a concept that changes everything: the Umwelt. It's a German word that essentially means the self-world. It's the idea that every animal exists in their own specific bubble of reality, defined by what they can perceive. We are seeing our dogs, like Horowitz's own dog Pumpernickel, or Pump, through our human Umwelt, a world of sight and language. But they are living in a completely different universe right beside us, a universe of smell. So if we want to truly understand them, we have to stop looking at them as furry little people. We have to strip away the human stories we project onto them, the guilt, the spite, the complex plots, and start trying to see the world, or rather smell the world, the way they do. And that is exactly where we are going to go next. Because if you think you know what your dog is doing when he's sniffing a fire hydrant, you are missing an entire social network of information.
That fire hydrant is just the beginning of the story, a story that requires us to completely shift our perspective. Welcome to The Last Read, books for your ears, wisdom for your life. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe right now. We explore the hidden worlds around us every week, and you won't want to miss the insights we have coming up. In this episode, we are continuing our journey through Inside of a Dog. By the time we are finished today, we will have decoded some of the most baffling canine behaviors. We are going to explain how your dog can literally smell the passage of time. We will reveal why your dog ignores the television, even when there is a dog on the screen. And we are going to debunk the guilty look once for all. Does he really know he did something wrong, or are we just seeing what we expect to see? If you want to dig deeper into these studies yourself, or perhaps gift this insight to a fellow dog lover, you can find the link to buy the hard copy of the book right in the description.
But to truly understand these concepts, we cannot just rely on anecdotes. We need a guide who bridges the gap between hard science and the warm companionship we feel for our pets. We need to meet the woman who decided to study her own dog, not as a fuzzy little human, but as a wolf adapted to living in a modern apartment. And we need to meet the dog who started it all, a mixed breed named Pumpernickel.
So, let's talk about the mind holding the leash, Alexandra Horowitz. She isn't just an enthusiastic dog owner who decided to write a memoir. She is a serious cognitive scientist who teaches at Barnard College in New York. In fact, she runs the dog cognition lab there. But her journey into the mind of the dog didn't start in a sterile white room with lab coats and clipboards. It started in her own living room, looking at a mixed-breed dog named Pumpernickel. Pumpernickel was a funny-looking mutt, a chaotic mix of ancestry that defied easy categorization. And Horowitz realized something profound. She knew more about the cognitive abilities of rhinos and bonobos from her academic work than she did about the animals sleeping on her rug. She realized that we often look at our dogs and see fuzzy little humans. We project our own emotions, our own logic, and our own sensory experiences onto them. Horowitz decided to strip that away. She began observing Pumpernickel with the rigorous eye of a scientist, watching hours of slow-motion video of her playing, sniffing, and interacting with the world. Her goal was to see Pumpernickel not as a furry baby, but as a wolf who has successfully adapted to living in a modern apartment.
This is what makes her work so compelling. She bridges the gap between hard science and that warm, indescribable companionship we feel for our pets. She validates our love for them, but she asks us to love them for what they are, not what we want them to be. And to do that, to truly step out of our human perspective and into the paws of a wolf in a high-rise, we need to understand a very specific, slightly difficult to pronounce concept. It's a German word that acts as a key to unlocking your dog's reality, psychological shorthand for the soap bubble that surrounds us all.
Umwelt. It's a concept borrowed from the early 20th century biologist Jakob von Uske, and it is the beating heart of Horowitz's book. Basically, imagine that soap bubble again. We are all floating around in our own shimmering, impenetrable bubbles. This bubble represents our self-world. It defines the absolute limits of what we can perceive. Everything outside the bubble? To us, it simply doesn't exist. Horowitz uses the humble and slightly gross example of the tick to explain this. Picture a tick hanging on a blade of grass. It's blind. It's deaf. It doesn't care about the beautiful sunset, the sound of birds chirping, or, as Horowitz puts it, your most moving monologues. None of that enters the tick's bubble. For the tick, the universe consists of exactly two things: the smell of butyric acid, which is a chemical found in animal sweat, and body heat. That is it. It can wait 18 years without moving, oblivious to the entire cosmos, until a warm, sweaty mammal brushes past. Pop. Suddenly, its world turns on. Now, we humans like to think our bubble is the objective reality, but it's not. Our bubble is painted with vibrant colors, spoken language, and constant anxiety about the future. That is our Umwelt.
But your dog is floating right next to you, in a bubble completely alien to your own. They don't see the world as a collection of named objects. They don't care that your couch matches the curtains. They are living in a sensory landscape that we can barely imagine. And this leads to Horowitz's most profound point. To truly love a dog, you have to stop treating them like a furry little human. You have to try, as best you can, to step out of your soap bubble and float into theirs. You have to strip away your reliance on words and colors and accept that their reality is built on a completely different foundation. A foundation that isn't seen, but inhaled.
And that foundation is built almost entirely on the nose. We have about 6 million olfactory receptors. That sounds like a lot, right? But your dog, depending on the breed, they have up to 300 million. It's not just that they smell better than we do, they smell differently. Horowitz gives us a brilliant analogy here to help us understand the scale of this difference. I want you to imagine you are walking into a coffee shop. You take a deep breath. What do you smell? You smell coffee.
It's a single, unified concept, a noun. But your dog, they don't smell coffee. They smell the beans, they smell the milk, they smell the specific type of sugar, and they smell the plastic of the cup separately. To them, it's not a single scent, it's a chemical analysis. They are deconstructing the world, particle by particle. But here is where it gets truly mind-bending, and this is my favorite part of the book. Horowitz suggests that dogs don't just smell things, they smell time. Think about it. Odors are physical particles moving through the air. A strong scent is new, it's happening right now. A weak scent is old, it's fading away. So when a breeze blows from around the corner, your dog is literally smelling the future. They know who is coming before you can see them. And when they sniff the ground, they are smelling the past. When you take your dog for a walk and they stop to obsessively sniff a fire hydrant or a tree trunk, we usually tug on the leash, right? We get impatient. But to them, that fire hydrant is a community bulletin board. It's a news feed.
They are reading the history of the street. Who walked here? How long ago? Was it a male or female dog? Were they sick? Were they anxious? It is a rich, textual world, invisible to us, but vibrant to them. Now, we've established that their reality is painted in smells we can't even dream of. But what about the world that isn't invisible? What about the things they actually see with their eyes? You might assume that because they have eyes, they see the way we do, just from a lower angle. But if you think your dog is admiring the bright red ball you bought them in the green grass, you might be surprised by what they're actually looking at.
So, about that red ball. You're at the pet store, standing in the aisle, and you pick that specific toy because it is vibrant, it pops, it screams playtime to your human eyes. You take it to the park, toss it into the field, and then get frustrated when your dog runs right past it. Here's the reality check. That red ball, it is for you, not for them. We often hear the old myth that dogs see in black and white. That's not quite true, but the reality is just as alien to us. Alexandra Horowitz explains that dogs are dichromats. They don't have the 3 color receptors we do, they only have 2. Their world is painted in a palette of yellows, blues, and grays. So when you throw that bright red ball onto the green grass, to your dog, you have just thrown a muddy, dark gray object onto a field of slightly lighter gray. To them, it's practically camouflage. You're asking them to find a needle in a haystack using a sense that for them is actually their third-string player. But while their color vision might be lackluster, their eyes are tuned for something else entirely, something ancient.
Motion. We humans, we are obsessed with clarity. We want 4K resolution. We want to see the sharp edges of a mountain range or the text on a billboard. Dogs don't care about the details. They care about the change. Their retinas are packed with rods, photoreceptors that are incredibly sensitive to movement and dim light. Horowitz notes that a dog can spot a squirrel twitching its tail a block away. It is a flashing beacon to them. But if you stand perfectly still in a field and you are downwind so they can't smell you, you might actually become invisible to your own dog. They see the movement, not the man. This obsession with motion actually explains another mystery, why so many dogs ignore the television. For years, people wondered why dogs wouldn't watch TV, even when there was a dog barking on the screen. It comes down to a concept called flicker fusion. To our human eyes, a movie is just a series of still images flashed quickly enough that they blur into smooth motion. We need about 60 images a second to be fooled, but dogs, their visual processing is faster. They need 70 or 80 images a second to see a fluid picture.
So, when you turn on an older TV, or even a standard modern one, your dog doesn't see a fluid story. They see a strobe light. They see a flip book being turned too slowly, just a jarring series of flickering, disconnected images. No wonder they prefer looking out the window. We buy them red balls they can't distinguish, and we sit them in front of screens that look like broken strobe lights, all because we assume they see the world exactly the way we do.
We project our human experience onto them. And nowhere, absolutely nowhere, is this projection more damaging than when we come home to find a mess in the kitchen. You know the scene. The trash can is tipped over. The dog is cowering in the corner, eyes wide, head low. You look at them and think, aha, he knows he did something wrong. Look at that face. That is a guilty dog. But just like the red ball, what you think you see is not what is actually happening.
It is a narrative we have all constructed, a courtroom drama played out in the kitchen. The evidence is undeniable. Garbage strewn across the linoleum, the distinct aroma of coffee grounds and old takeout. And there stands the defendant. His ears are pinned back against his head. His body is lowered, practically hovering above the floor, and he is giving you that look, the whale eye, showing the whites of his eyes while looking away. He might even be thumping his tail tentatively against the floor. To us, in our human world of morality and conscience, the verdict is clear. He knows he did it. He feels bad about it. He is confessing. But Alexandra Horowitz urges us to stop right there, because what we are actually seeing has nothing to do with morality and everything to do with survival. That guilty look is a myth. In Inside of a Dog, Horowitz details an experiment she conducted that fundamentally dismantled this assumption. It is one of the most cited studies in canine cognition, and for good reason. She set up a scenario where owners told their dogs not to eat a treat and then left the room. Once the owners were gone, some dogs obeyed, and some dogs ate the treat.
But here is the twist. When the owners returned, Horowitz didn't tell them the truth about what their dog had done. She manipulated the owners' beliefs. She told some owners their dog had been good, and others that their dog had been bad, regardless of whether the dog had actually eaten the treat or not. The results were startling. The guilty look, that crouching, cowering display, did not correlate with whether the dog had actually disobeyed. It correlated almost perfectly with whether the owner scolded them. In fact, the study showed that the dogs who looked the most guilty were the ones who were entirely innocent, but were being scolded by misinformed owners. Let that sink in for a moment. The dog who hadn't touched the treat, but was being yelled at, looked more guilty than the dog who actually ate it. What does this tell us? It tells us that the dog is not reflecting on a past crime. Dogs live in the present tense. They do not sit around pondering the morality of the trash can incident from 3 hours ago. When you walk in the door and see the mess, your body language changes instantly. You tense up, your scent changes, your voice drops into that angry register. The dog reads this change in the atmosphere immediately. The behavior we interpret as guilty is actually submissive fear.
The dog is saying, "I can see you are angry. I am making myself small. I am showing you I am not a threat. Please do not hurt me." They are reacting to you, right now, in this moment. This is a hard pill to swallow because it means our anger is often misplaced and ineffective. If you scold a dog for a mess they made hours ago, they do not connect your anger to the trash. They connect your anger to your arrival. They learn that you coming home is a scary, unpredictable event, which only increases their anxiety. We project a moral complexity onto them that simply isn't there, while missing the very clear emotional signal they are actually sending. I am afraid of you right now. We get it wrong because we view them through a human lens. We assume we are the ones clearly broadcasting meaning, and they are the ones struggling to keep up. But the irony is, while we are busy misinterpreting their fear as guilt, they are busy doing something much more sophisticated. They are studying us. In fact, they have become experts on us, arguably better than we are at understanding them. While we struggle to decode a tail wag, they have spent thousands of years cracking the code of human behavior, learning to read our intentions before we even speak a word.
They're basically anthropologists. Think about it. You might not know why your dog spins 3 times before lying down, but your dog knows exactly what it means when you put on your sneakers versus your dress shoes. They have spent their entire lives earning a PhD in you. And the research backs this up. In the book, Horowitz highlights something really incredible about the pointing gesture. Now, to us, pointing is obvious. If I point at a ball, you look at the ball. But if you point at a ball for a wolf, our dog's wild ancestor, the wolf will just stare at your finger. They don't get it. Even chimpanzees, our closest genetic relatives, struggle to understand that a human pointing means look over there. But dogs? Puppies get it almost instantly. They intuitively understand that we are trying to communicate reference. They are the only species that looks where we look, simply because we ask them to.
And they don't just read our signals. They have sophisticated signals of their own. One of my favorites from the book is the play bow. You've seen this. Elbows down, rump in the air, tail wagging. Horowitz explains that this isn't just a stretch. It's actually a form of meta-communication. It's a signal that modifies the meaning of everything that comes after it. It literally translates to, everything I do next is a joke. It allows a 10-pound terrier to bite a Great Dane's ear without getting crushed. It's a social contract. It says, I might growl, I might snap, I might tackle you, but none of it is real aggression. It's incredibly complex social behavior, and they do it naturally. Which leads us to the biggest misunderstanding of all, the idea of the pack leader.
We've all heard the advice. You have to be the alpha. You have to eat first, walk through the door first, dominate them so they know their place. Horowitz argues that this is based on bad science. Dogs aren't constantly plotting a coup d'etat in your living room. Being a leader to a dog isn't about physical dominance or aggression. It's about resources. You control the food. You control the door. You control the walk. To a dog, you are the god of the doorknob. When we try to dominate them with random rules or anger, we don't look like strong leaders. We just look erratic. And that's the problem. We are inconsistent. One day we let them on the couch because we're lonely. The next day we yell at them for it because we're wearing nice pants. To an anthropologist studying us, that is confusing. So if we stop trying to be the alpha and start trying to be clear, everything changes. And once you start seeing the world through their nose and respecting their distinct dogness, well, that is when the relationship really transforms.
So, when you finally get it, when you really understand the concept of Umwelt, the world looks different. Or rather, it smells different. Because once you accept that your dog isn't just a furry person, but a wolf descendant living in a world of odors we can't even imagine, the way you treat them changes overnight. You stop getting frustrated when they lag behind on a walk. You realize that pulling them away from a fire hydrant is like, well, it's like someone snatching the morning newspaper out of your hands before you finish the headlines.
Horowitz calls it reading the news. When they're sniffing that patch of grass, they aren't wasting time. They're catching up on the neighborhood gossip. Who was here? How long ago? Was it that golden retriever from down the street? You realize they are smelling time itself. The past is underfoot, and the future is on the breeze. And that guilty look we talked about? You stop taking it personally. You realize they aren't plotting against you or feeling moral remorse for eating the sandwich you left on the coffee table. They're just reacting to you. They are anthropologists, and they know when the god of the doorknob is angry. The transformation is this. You stop trying to force them to be human, and you start respecting them for being dogs. And that is where the real beauty lies.
It's not about control. It's about a shared life between two totally different species who somehow, against all odds, decided to become family. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the canine mind, please make sure to subscribe to The Last Read for more wisdom. And if you want to truly understand what your dog is seeing and smelling, there is a link to Alexandra Horowitz's book in the description. It is the best way to support the author, and it might just change your next walk forever. Next time, we are leaving the animal kingdom entirely to look at how we form habits. But for now, go give your dog a scratch behind the ears.
See you then.